Welcome to Views of a Flick. I'm Will.I.am Defoe, a.k.a. Big Willie Style. Here with Sid.
What's happening?
Here with Ron Jarobi.
You already know me.
And we might have skipped last week.
Did we?
Yeah, we did.
They probably wanted to. They probably devised the plan to skip it. But we back this week for week 5 of Obi-Wan. He ain't Obi-Wan no more. This nigga Obi-Wan.
Why would we devise a plan to skip it? I forgot. I didn't know.
Because that shit was shit.
What, last week?
Last week's episode was trash. Last week's episode might have been the single worst episode of anything that I've seen on Disney Plus.
I'm trying to. Okay, last week.
The CG in that episode was, that shit was in the dirt. The scene where
Gotcha.
just the right end of the last episode when they walking through the whole base, it's just them two people. Oh, let's just hide this little girl under this trench coat. Ain't nobody gonna see these extra set of legs walking when it's hundreds of people in the big ass building.
It was the writing.
I don't even know if I remember the last episode.
It was very forgettable. You probably don't remember it.
They went to the Inquisitors. Obi-Wan went to the.
When he went to go rescue Leia.
Yeah.
Oh, when they was interrogating Leia?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I didn't think the episode was that bad.
That shit was shit. And since you brought up that interrogation was so bad.
Yeah. I mean,
That's
I
just my
might as well
opinions
get
on
this.
the
I
last
might as well
episode.
get this. I might as well get this out the way.
Yeah.
I think that's what's been my problem with this series is they wanted to include Leia so bad that they created a lot of plot holes. What
plot hole?
for the give you one, what's the Inquisitor name? What's her name?
Reva.
The fifth, is she the fifth sister?
Third.
The third sister.
The third sister. She can read her force abilities to somewhat read people's mind, right?
I mean, it's all four.
They so inconsistent with the Force.
But I'm saying in this series, she read somebody's mind. She read more than one person's mind, right?
Yeah,
I don't know if I don't know if they be reading minds with the Force. They kind of, it's like, it's not necessarily reading their mind. It's like
controlling.
not even really controlling it. Well, they is supposed to be able to control, like with the Force, but I don't know. I don't know how to say it, but it's not necessarily reading their mind. It's kind of like it's kind of hard to even say what it is because I really don't know. But it ain't really reading their mind because if they was, then
I'm
no problem to get any answer she needed.
I'm finna break down my plot holes that I see with the Leia character. She read old boy mind when they was on the planet, right? To figure out where Obi-Wan was going, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why she couldn't read Leia mind?
Because she's strong. She too
No,
strong.
why do you feel like she read dude mind? Because she guessed that he had a family?
No.
Because if that's the case, if she read his mind, she would have knew about Luke.
No, I'm saying she read the what's the guy name for the from Eternals? She read his mind when she was looking for Obi-Wan.
Kumaji or something. His name something like that.
Remember she went up on a platform.
Smuggler. The dude that was
playing like
that
he
was
was
copying like he was a Jedi.
He was playing like he was Jedi. She read his mind. He didn't tell her what Obi-Wan was at. She read his mind.
Yeah.
And she was like, I know everything I need to know.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much the same thing Kylo Ren did.
Mm-hmm.
That was my point where I said, well, this Leia, and it could be we know she force sensitive.
Yeah.
So that could, but how can she not sense that? Like, you know what I'm saying? With that, and then
why does Vader like continue like shouldn't they be able to feel each other?
No.
Why is Vader so looking for him?
For Obi-Wan?
Yeah. Like I don't mean like why is he looking for him? Like why is he so lost trying to find him?
I mean, I took that as Obi-Wan was suppressing his force ability so he couldn't find him, just like Yoda was. So they can't find him through the force because, you know, like Ron said before, like sayings, they suppressing it.
Okay.
But but I'm just saying I felt like they wanted to include Leia so bad in this that it to me created plot holes and it just wasn't enjoyable. Now that I'm talking about last week's episode.
But on to Leia.
I don't even see it as a
I
plot
don't
hole,
even.
'cause
Exactly. I don't
think she
even
read that
see.
mind.
I don't even see the plot holes as being a problem.
I
like
do.
with the plot holes, I guess going forward in the movies in the past. Go ahead.
In this series, Leia is getting an emotional attachment to Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
We see none of that in A New Hope.
But that's they probably want to set up why she was asking for him to come and rescue her.
Right.
That's probably all they trying to. Well, that ain't all they trying to set
But
up.
with that being said, the only one that cared Obi-Wan died was Luke.
True.
So again, you introduced this character Leia. You introduced this emotional attachment she had with Obi-Wan, which
And they trying to make it a deep emotional attachment.
right. That's why I said the Leia character is what's throwing this series off for me. Because when you get to A
I
New
have to
Hope,
watch New Hope over. I don't remember. I don't remember.
when you get to A New Hope, it's like she asked for Obi-Wan to come help. That was it.
The emotional part, the
Yeah.
Obi-Wan was more Luke.
And when Obi-Wan died, Luke was the only one that gave a damn.
Yeah.
Now, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say what I was gonna say is my only problem with it is that's not what they build this show up to be.
What?
They build this show up, Ewan McGregor, old boy playing Anakin. They doing interviews together. They setting it up at this big duel. We about to get Obi-Wan versus Vader. What happened? This ain't been shit but the Obi-Wan and Leia show.
Mm-hmm.
And then to really solidify that to me was when we get to this episode and Vader killing Reva supposedly.
Okay, we going
It's the
to
climax
episode
of the
5
show.
now.
Huh?
We're going to episode 5 now.
Yeah. That's the climax of the show. Watch.
You say Vader?
Vader, the fight between them two, between Reva and Vader, is gonna be the climax of the show.
You think so?
I don't think so.
What else is?
I think Obi-Wan gonna
We
kill her.
don't know.
You think, huh?
I think Obi-Wan gonna kill her.
Nah, because they not gonna fight no more. She gonna help him.
Nah.
I don't think so.
I
Why?
think because I still think she has some anger for Obi-Wan. She doesn't know.
This episode pretty much laid out that she don't have. Only reason she been looking for Obi-Wan was to get the Vader.
Well, she wants to kill Obi-Wan too because
she
she
wanna
feel
kill all
like
the Jedis, I feel
Obi-Wan trained this motherfucker, and you the one that caused all this. It could be
And then
different.
she found the little thing, the transmitter that's talking about Leia and shit. She
Right.
gonna use that. This shit.
Which again, if what we saying don't happen and it happens the way,
But she gonna try and kill Leia to get to Vader. I think not to get to Obi-Wan.
what you mean? No, I don't. I think she finna go try to
Because
kill
listening
Luke.
to that thing, Luke. Well, he said Leia. That's why I said Leia. But yeah, that's why they were showing Luke. He gonna try and find him. But that's to get to Vader, not to get to Obi-Wan.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she have any real animosity towards him.
She probably will after this episode.
Why?
After he set her up.
That's another thing. He set her up. So, but this episode, I enjoyed this one. I think this might be my favorite episode out of this series. If it's not, it's probably episode 1.
Okay.
But between this and episode 1, these have been my favorite episodes. The reason, and I could say the reason one of these is this is my favorite episode because even though Leia played a prominent role, she wasn't at the forefront like she'd been in the other episodes to me. You know, they kind of set her off to the side and let everybody else.
I didn't like what they set her off to the side to do.
Man,
but that's just me personal.
It was lazy
preference.
writing.
You can go, yeah, exactly, lazy writing.
But I am very happy that Vader made this Inquisitor look like child's play.
Yeah.
I don't see why y'all wouldn't have thought he wouldn't.
I mean, well, the reason I wouldn't,
Man.
the reason I didn't think they would because of the track record we've been getting with shows and the things that they've been adding in. It just is. We going back to how I felt in the early 2000s, when you would get a movie, or you would get something and you have this expectation, and you know what I'm saying. You see them going with the storyline, and then it doesn't happen. It's just like
See, I don't mind.
It's a symbolic gesture.
I don't mind as long as it's good. That's all I care about. Like, to me, like, yeah, this was one of the better episodes, but this show was dud. This shit, the show, I don't. To me, is not a good show at all, really. But like, it's not because they didn't do what I expected them to do, which they kind of did, but not to the level of what you're talking about. Because you're saying like you got this idea of what a movie is, and it's not that plot point, or they don't do this, or it's it's Rey just knowing how to use the Force here and there.
I have like, that's why I don't like properties that go into, for instance, Star Wars. Yeah, they go back into lore and then start changing things to fit their narrative, because then you don't have a cohesive story anymore. It start, you know what I'm saying, you have plot holes, you have a lot of questions that's supposed to be answered. And it's like, yeah, it's a movie and you shouldn't think that much into it. But when you got 6 to 9 movies that all play a part in it, and then you come up with this one story that you want to tell, and it kind of pulls everything apart, it's like, I
feel you, because my whole thing is they got them they can go buy and watch their movies the same way we buy and watch the movies. They can watch the movies anytime that they want to throughout the writing of the show or any show. But they, like you said, they got plot points and they got things that they want to do in the story, and quite frankly, the execs and writers and stuff like that, they don't care, like, really. Well, I would say most of them. They don't care what they really do to the lore of a show or a property. They don't care about that shit. All they care about is how can we get Obi-Wan with a give him a sidekick. We can use Leia. We got a girl. We got that agenda checked off. Now we need a little robot, the little circle shit that. Oh my gosh!
Star Wars essential.
Exactly.
That's Star Wars essential though.
Exactly. Right. That's my point. That's what I'm saying. They saying that they got to hit these points. That's the only reason that they put them in there. And I'm not even talking about.
It ain't been one Star Wars visual that didn't have that.
That's my point.
What, the droids and stuff?
There's always a little droid gonna be with the main character.
Yeah, that's my point.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't see the problem.
I mean, I don't, like I said, I don't mind the little droid.
I don't. That wasn't my problem.
Right. I don't mind Obi-Wan having a sidekick character. It's just, like I said, it's Leia. And then, again, one of my other biggest, I don't want to down too much on this episode because I thoroughly enjoyed this episode. One of my biggest gripes with this has been the directing in certain scenes. Yeah. It started with Leia running.
Shout out to Deborah Chow.
It started with Leia running. And even though I thoroughly enjoyed this episode, that lightsaber duel wasn't, for instance, Vader in the
lightsaber duel was cool to me.
What lightsaber duel? You talking about with Vader and the Inquisitor?
Yeah. It was the duel was cool. I didn't have a problem with that. It was the the money that was put into that scene.
I mean, but they ain't put no money into it. After last week's episode, in that scene when the 2 jets came in to come pick them up, and that motherfucker looked like it was a nigga holding a little toy plane when it was just sitting there hovering. It just looked like a nigga would just hold. Yes, that's exactly what it looked like. I'm like, oh yeah, this shit is trash.
It ain't look like that to me.
And then that.
I don't know
And
what y'all be seeing.
the reason I say that because we had that scene that it didn't look like they put a lot of money into, but then you had the Obi-Wan and Anakin scene where, to me,
it didn't look like they put a whole lot of money into that scene either.
How much money was they supposed to put into that?
That shit looked like the prequels too. And I don't know if they doing that shit on purpose, because I brought that up with episode 1. I don't know if they doing that shit on purpose or what, but whatever they doing looks bad.
I ain't think none of that looked bad. Nothing on none of these episodes. To me
And they
looked
could have
bad.
threw a little de-aging on Anakin too. Whole time I'm sitting there like, dang, dude straight done got old. Like he straight like look old now. Like shit wild. But that wasn't a bad thing. I was talking, when I say the CG, I'm talking about like the background and shit. But I just realized like, damn, he's straight old now. Like it'd be crazy like when you see people that was always look young till you start to look old. Shout out for real.
I guess my biggest thing is to me in the last couple years, out of all the Star Wars, we've gotten more Star Wars properties than we've ever gotten.
Yeah.
Which, you know what I'm saying? Only The Mandalorian has been good to me, including the movies. No, I take that back. Rogue One was good. Han Solo was okay. But it's been too many misses.
Yeah. And I believe, I don't know what they're going to do in episode 6, but I believe this series as a whole has been a miss. But I do want to ask y'all, like, what did y'all like about this episode? You said this is one of your favorites.
Yeah.
Ryan hasn't, like, said what he thought about the episode, really.
I was letting y'all cook.
Ain't
gonna be too much.
I liked the story in this episode. You know what I'm saying? I like the story in this episode. I like the reveal that y'all had already said before. You know, the confirmation that, you know, she was the youngling in the room. I like that, you know, again, this is something y'all already touched on, that she had her own motives. Now we see what, you know, her motives really are, is to go after Vader.
I think I kind of would have liked the Mace Windu story a little better.
I like the still the lessons that Vader still has to learn. You know what I'm saying?
See, but I like that because I thought that the lesson that Obi-Wan was teaching him during that fight, he was still going to have to learn it. And Obi-Wan was going to beat him with that again. But I like that it was showing that he did learn from that shit.
Right.
And
That was bullshit. That was bullshit.
What you mean?
That whole Obi-Wan, he was throwing Anakin off in his mind. That was some old mind game shit.
Anakin was his whole.
Anakin was turned off.
But that was his whole
fight.
But that was his whole teaching point with Anakin
I mean, I understand
throughout the
that,
whole prequels.
I understand
And that was the only
but-
reason that he beat him was because he was turned off in him. But Anakin got too impatient and went in for a strike
got ahead of
that
himself.
he didn't need to go in
Anakin won
for.
the fight 2 or 3 times already.
Yeah.
But he didn't
He
win
won-
the fight.
He didn't win because he sat there and listened to Obi-Wan. What was he supposed to do? That was training.
He didn't listen to what I mean. I don't get what you.
What you mean?
They was-
Obi-Wan was talking to him. Oh, he was saying the same shit you just said. You're too eager for victory. This
Yeah.
type shit, nigga. The victory, he already had the victory. You was unhand.
But
you didn't have no
but
lightsaber.
you still proving his point though.
No, but what I'm saying is that this was training. You doing all that doing training, nigga. If this was had he been the enemy, that nigga would have died, bro. He would have died unarmed.
All right.
He would have. We saw what happened to Dooku. When he got both his hands chopped off. This nigga, I understand what y'all saying. He was trying to teach him a lesson, but to me,
Because I thought
Nigga,
I thought
y'all
it
was training.
I thought it was obvious, and everybody knew like Anakin was impulsive and impatient.
Right. I
That
took
is, but I mean, he would just.
I thought
No.
that was a whole fear of him and his attachments of going to the dark side. The nigga was too old, too impulsive, too
No,
impatient.
Well, see, me and Sid got different views on that going on the dark side. Had they let Anakin cook, Anakin probably would never went to the dark side.
I took it as, even though Obi-Wan lost that fight,
Twice.
even though Anakin beat him, Anakin being impatient would still be his downfall. I don't think it was about Obi-Wan beating him. I was thinking he was teaching Anakin that when you lose,
Of course, it wasn't about Obi-Wan beating.
right?
Him, still.
When you lose, it'll be because you're impatient. I think that's what he was really trying to teach him. Because I think Obi-Wan knows that I can't really beat Anakin if he actually listened to what I'm teaching him.
Exactly.
But with him being, like y'all said, as impulsive as he is, even if it's not me that beat him, because he's never
gonna beat himself.
He's not looking at Anakin joining the dark side. He's looking at it like you gonna come against somebody one day that might have a little more patience than you, and that's gonna cause you to lose the fight.
Exactly.
But I still.
I didn't even say the word. Go ahead, because I was about to say I didn't even get to the point.
No,
that I
you
was
can get to
trying
your point.
Nah, I was just gonna say that I like how they showed him versus the patience that he used in dragging out Reva and knowing that she was already what she was already on,
Right.
and just letting the plan drag out. Because actually, I will say that I do like how they treat Vader throughout the show. That is one thing I do like. But you can go ahead. How they treat Vader, like his fighting tactics, and his just his whole mindset with the whole plan. How he grew from learning from Obi-Wan and all that, and like the whole fight with Reva. The nigga swung at her 3 times.
Right.
Nigga didn't even draw his blade, bro.
No, he
Exactly.
took hers.
Took hers.
Yeah.
The nigga used the force the whole fight.
That nigga,
that's why I
used
fuck
more.
with it.
Yeah, but I like the way his use of the force.
Man.
Exactly, because he was
The
just
nigga
using
was
it
doing
like
like
it
some
wasn't
kung
shit.
fu shit. He was just
Yeah.
like, get up off
Yeah.
me. Like, come on, bro. Like, stop playing with Vader. Just show fire to me.
Yeah, but I do like how they showed that she wasn't shit to him. All right, get on out of here.
And
I think the reason why I like to show someone, because I'm getting what I wanted as far as Vader.
right,
So,
and I understand that. Like, you know what I'm saying, the show fire to you. I'm not knocking that this show might be good to a lot of people.
Yeah.
But this show could have been a whole lot better. I've seen movies that I liked that were good, but when I look at them and I break them down and I listen to other people's opinions, I see how the movie could have been better or the show could have been better.
I just wish they gave us more Vader, less Reva and Leia.
I like Reva though, man, and
Me too.
I like the way things turned out the way they did.
Vader,
I don't.
them giving us more Vader would dilute Vader.
Right,
They're not supposed to give us that.
Well,
much Vader.
you got a point about that because I was going.
right.
Go ahead.
And here's the thing, and this is where
Unless they do a Vader-based show where he actually hunting down other Jedi.
right.
That's what I want to see.
That's what we thought this
But
was
hold
gonna
on.
be.
I never thought
But hold on. Exactly. But this is my point, and this is where I start to have my issues at when people use properties. You're using characters, you're using names, you're using these people that people have come to love, and then you changing them to tell your story. When in fact, if this wasn't called Obi-Wan, the opinions would be different.
I was just about to ask y'all if this show was called Obi-Wan, and did this show that we have right now, could they have done this show without Vader?
No, because
Why?
Vader is essential. Like, you
How
can't
is
tell
he
the
a-
story without Vader.
How?
Because
No, I'm talking not the story of Obi-Wan and Vader and Anakin. I'm talking about the story that we've gotten these 5 episodes.
Right.
Could they have done this without Vader?
with Vader not being in the show.
Yeah, without him being in the
No,
show.
it wouldn't be a point. It wouldn't even be a point.
Why?
Because that's the whole point of the show.
because
How?
it's called Obi-Wan.
I mean,
Hold on. How was that the whole point of the show?
Cause he Obi-Wan hiding from Vader, essentially, or the 60s he hiding from the Empire.
Yeah,
There is
they
no
could-
Empire without Vader.
Yeah, but they could have replaced. They could have easily replaced his fear for Vader with the Empire. that he was running from the Empire.
He wouldn't have ran from the Empire.
Just like every other Jedi, they never said that they was running from Vader. They've been running from the Empire. They've been running from Order 66.
He wouldn't have had nobody to run from. When people run from the Empire, they know what they're running from. It's
the nigga
Vader.
ran during Order 66.
Well,
that's why when
Who
she
ran through Order 66?
Nigga Obi-Wan. That's why when she asked where was y'all at, the nigga looked like that. Because the nigga knew that he ran.
He wasn't
But
running.
that was after the Jedi's was all gone.
He wasn't.
All the Jedi's not gone now.
At this point, I believe so.
No, they not. They
Wait,
still
well,
out there.
hold on.
Scattered out.
When that happened at the Jedi Temple, Obi-Wan was on
He was on
that one planet.
He was on Utapau.
Whatever, yeah.
Yeah, he was on
Utapau.
that one planet.
But my point was Obi-Wan wasn't running from Vader. He was running from the Empire. He didn't find out Vader was alive to episode 2.
Right, but I don't know, man. I don't know. But maybe it was Sidious he was running from, but I don't believe that he was running from stormtroopers. I don't believe.
Well, I'm not just saying. I mean,
but that's what
stormtroopers not the Empire. I mean,
yeah, basically that's basically what the mass makeup of the Empire is stormtroopers and a few of the colonels. Like, but
I mean,
he's
he's running from the military. I mean,
Yeah.
the Empire itself, not a couple of stormtroopers. You looking at they got unlimited resources that they can send down there. But I feel like it could have been done.
But I was just going towards your point towards they was doing it for the namesake.
Right,
To draw people in.
And I don't think when you using Obi-Wan Kenobi in this time period, I'm not saying that Vader and Obi-Wan had to meet or interact with each other, but I don't think you could tell the Obi-Wan story without mentioning Vader at all.
No, you could have mentioned Vader. I'm just asking without him being in the show. Because my whole point, I think that they only, from watching the show, to me, it seemed like they only put him in the show so people will watch.
Mm-hmm.
That's laughable.
Well, the thing
I don't see how that's laughable.
No, man.
Because nigga Vader one of the biggest entities in the world.
But I don't think they put him in the show for people to
You
watch the
could
Obi-Wan show.
You could argue that Vader is a bigger entity than Star Wars.
He is. Without Vader, there is no Star Wars.
So then how can you
what I'm
say
telling
that,
you is
that
they didn't. I disagree that they put Vader in here to get looks. Like, no, I disagree with that.
Okay.
I think considering the story, because I'm kind of in between both of y'all saying. I think with the story they telling, that they felt like they had to put Vader in her because they wrote it. They knew how this story was going to play out. They had to put Vader in her. Now, I think this story could have been told without Vader, but it would have been a different story than what we have.
I don't see how.
I feel like because you still had Inquisitors, the thing is they would have had to make Obi-Wan a different character than what we've gotten in this series. Yeah. Because the show is called Obi-Wan, not Obi-Wan and Vader, not Obi-Wan and Leia. It's called Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan could have left the planet and been doing all other type of shit, been on all other type of missions, and the show would have been successful. Now,
we didn't necessarily have to see these stories connect.
Do I have to? Could they have told the story without Obi-Wan encountering a Force-sensitive antagonist? No, I don't think they could have.
Yeah, no.
But I don't think it necessarily had to be Vader. That makes sense to y'all?
Yeah, I just don't agree with it. I think they had to use Vader.
I mean, like I said.
Who else? Because there's only 2 Sith. It either had to been Vader or Palpatine.
Right, but you have Inquisitors. You know, like I said, you don't need... Vader didn't have to be a presence in this show like he is. I don't think they could have told the story without mentioning Vader. But I don't think he had to be a presence to tell a story. But this is what we got.
The Inquisitors, man.
Because I feel like they build it up as an Obi-Wan and Vader show. But Vader got like the 4th, 5th most screen time in the show.
What's the problem?
You built it up as a Vader in Obi-Wan show.
Like I said before, Vader can't be in every scene, even though he's been
No,
on
he
every
can't-
episode.
He can't be in every scene, but
He's been on every episode.
out of what, it's been 5 episodes. Every episode been what, about 40, 50 minutes. So what about 4.5 hours of material? We've gotten what, 20 minutes of Vader? 25, maybe.
I still don't see the problem.
I mean,
You
it's
could-
not
my
a problem
po-
with him being there.
Exactly. It's not a problem. My point is, you could easily replace that 25 minutes.
I mean, with the current show, I disagree. I don't know.
Right, with the current show.
Especially with the
Yeah.
Obi-Wan we got. And then if you change Obi-Wan to make him at least a little bit better than what he is, he'll wipe the floor with them Inquisitors. So that wouldn't have been that good. Or it would have been entertaining seeing them chop him up. But and of course, if he was Obi-Wan, we know he wasn't gonna chop him up because of the whole Jedi way. So it's just, I don't know. I just disagree. He needed Vader in this show, I think.
So what's some of your thoughts on this episode?
I liked the episode. I thought it was fire. I think from the jump, we got, you know what I'm saying, the problem. These niggas get caught in the hangar, and like Vader's always gonna find them. But like we already knew, Reva had the damn what's the name on the droid, or did we know he had?
Yeah, we know.
Yeah, we knew that.
Yeah, the
You know what I'm
thumbtack
saying?
that she put on there.
She got
Turned
there,
it to the dark side.
huh?
Yeah,
No, I
the
said
thumb,
that-
like a little thumb.
Oh no,
drive
yeah,
on there.
yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. I thought the episode was fire though. Like Vader, of course, for me, because that's my favorite villain. Vader made the episode better, but I just think it was fire. I mean,
Like, the show to me straight don't get fired until Vader come through walking with that mean ass stump, with that mean ass pace. Then the show get good.
But that's and my thing is,
That's not good.
that's good
well,
to me.
No,
'Cause just New Hope. A New Hope is boring until Vader.
I mean, not to me, but my point is, that's my whole point of disagreeing with how the show story is driven. You say Vader is your favorite character. You thoroughly enjoy
favorite villain.
Your favorite villain.
Out of all villains,
Do you enjoy how Vader is portrayed in this series?
man, come on. We ain't seen no Vader like this.
Okay.
It's the best portrayal of Vader.
My point, and I agree with that.
Yeah.
But the reason I have my issues with shows is, what if they made Vader a bitch in this?
They didn't though. We talking about what if?
But that'd be
That's
my
his
point.
point,
That'd be
'cause they
my
did with
point.
Obi-Wan.
Because they do it with so many characters. They change them, they make them soft, they nerf them. Suppose they had done this. If they've done it to everybody else, Vader's no exception.
Yeah,
and
he
it's gonna be.
because Vader never was a bitch.
But that's what I'm saying. It's a lot of characters we know that
never
wasn't
was
bitches.
Exactly. It's a lot of characters that never were bitches up
No,
until they came to Disney Plus.
Name one.
Shit, Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan
Boba Fett.
is a
Boba
hermit.
Fett.
Boba Fett not no bitch. Y'all just want him to be something different.
No, we want.
He's not a
That-
bitch.
that nigga was a
we
bitch.
want-
But anyway,
we wanna
we
see
love
nigga-
Obi-Wan.
Hold on, we want to see Bubba Fett
are
that
talking
we
about
seen.
Obi-Wan.
The thing is, people love Bubba Fett not because of what we got in the show. They love Bubba Fett from what we've seen in the movies and what the stories have told of Bubba Fett. Now,
Right.
the way they portray Bubba Fett is they nerfed Bubba Fett. They made him soft. It made him a bitch.
To me, he wasn't no bitch. But go ahead.
But that's what I'm saying. If they can do this to other characters, they haven't done it to Vader, but they can.
I don't like this argument because you talking about what if, and they ain't did it.
Well,
Well, it ain't what if.
It's
It's
a
what they
win.
do.
It's-
To me, the only reason they haven't done it with Vader is
They're not
because
gonna do it with Vader.
he haven't been on the screen
but
enough.
that's my point. You know,
That's hogwash.
that's my point. You
And
can't
Obi-Wan,
necessarily
I can see
say
Obi-Wan. They showed, okay, I think, what's the name was a bitch?
Who?
In Return to Empire Strikes Back.
Who?
Yoda. He was one of the best, one of the top Jedi, and you hiding.
that. And the fact is, that's my point. They was hiding because they were scared of Vader. They were scared of the Empire.
But he still was
He
a
was-
bitch.
Right. So he was.
But this was done in the original. You talking about people changing. George did this.
Exactly. But we seen why Yoda ran off and hid.
It's the same reason. Obi-Wan ran this for the same reason.
But they ran off it. But that's my point. My point, Ron, is Master Yoda would have, from what we've seen, would have fucked them Inquisitors up.
Yeah, the Inquisitors wasn't around though.
But that's my point. You saying because Yoda was hiding from the Empire because he was outnumbered. Only other Jedi he know alive is Obi-Wan. And at this point, when we meet Yoda, Obi-Wan ain't even alive no more. He got to train Luke. What I'm saying is
he too damn old.
Characters are off. Characters, when you write a character, we've seen Obi-Wan old. When we seen Obi-Wan in The New Hope, he wasn't afraid. He was just on the low because we found out he had to watch over Luke.
Obi-Wan wasn't afraid, bro.
He the one that confronted Vader.
Yeah, because he went to go find him.
He did it, but he did that because for a distraction, so everybody else can escape.
Right, but that's my point. In this series,
he knew he was gonna die.
Obi-Wan,
But he wasn't afraid.
He
to.
had right.
He had no choice.
Yeah, he did.
No, he didn't.
He could have stayed in that room with him.
Ron.
He had a choice
And
to do
then
whatever.
he would have got the chosen one die. I feel like Obi-Wan wouldn't have did that with Luke in this show.
No, I'm
just
not,
like he banned up when he had to go get Leia.
Right, and I'm not saying he would have, but what I'm saying is you even have said Obi-Wan was bitch made in this series.
He is.
So with that being said, what's to stop them from doing it to Vader?
My thing is you saying what if or what's to stop it.
It's just y'all thoughts. It's just y'all thoughts on the character.
No, it's not my thoughts.
No, it is because
I've
Ryan
seen
already think that Obi-Wan is bitch made.
He was bitch made in A New Hope to me.
So he thinks that they haven't changed Obi-Wan. It's the same Obi-Wan.
And
from his opinion, that's what it is.
We only seen after Order 66, Obi-Wan was only thorough one time, and that's when he confronted Maul.
But my thing is,
and that was well after this.
Obi-Wan was never bitch made throughout the prequels.
No,
never.
And the thing is, nobody.
Neither was Yoda.
Here's my thing: nobody was bitch made until they brought up Vader's name. They even mentioned Vader, just like the hyenas in Lion King when they brought up Mufasa. You know what I'm saying? They bring up Vader. Obi-Wan and Yoda like, fuck, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. It wasn't stormtroopers. It was nobody else. They brought up Vader, which stepped Vader into being one of the baddest motherfuckers around. One of the best villains that we had. Everybody was afraid of Vader. Now, you're getting this episode where Obi-Wan's scared to approach an Inquisitor? Like, come on.
Who? Yeah. Well, who was he scared to approach?
He was hiding in the corner.
Yeah.
He was already
hiding from him.
But I mean, I feel you on that. But he was already hiding though.
But my point is this is somebody who
he could barely use the Force at that time.
But that's what I'm saying. That's how in The New Hope
he was using the Force effortlessly.
But that's my point. If they can write him in this series as being nerfed, so they say, there is nothing to stop them from doing it to Vader to tell their story. That's my point. People take liberties in these characters. This is why
I hate that George ain't do all this shit together. Because we don't know if George wrote him like that. They're not just making shit up. They're taking shit from George.
No, they're right.
They're taking shit from George. And they're taking shit from Legacy.
Well, we saw 6 movies of what George wanted. And I mean,
but we didn't see.
And we saw before.
This was before those movies. Yeah,
well, that's what I'm saying. We saw before all the movies in the shows, and we saw what these characters are like after these movies in these shows.
He didn't give us an in between movie though.
Man,
what we're saying, well, me personally, I don't Obi-Wan. One of the boxes that they had to check off in Obi-Wan, you had to tell me, how do we get the Obi-Wan from the prequels to what we got in the original series? How does he become that? And to me, they haven't shown that. Mm-hmm. And I'm assuming episode 6 is going to tell us kind of a little bit.
Maybe we interpreting Obi-Wan's character in different ways, because to me, Obi-Wan in the original trilogy was he was older, he was wiser, but he was still the same Obi-Wan. The only person had changed was Anakin.
How do we know
Anakin.
he was the same Obi-Wan?
That's how I interpreted it.
Oh, so you going off your interpretation?
No, I'm going off.
No,
No,
I mean,
hold on.
we seen
Let me
it.
prove my point.
We seen
Let me
it for
prove
6
my point.
movies.
Let me prove my point.
But I'm saying we never
Ron,
seen
let
this.
Me, let me
Okay.
prove my point. The reason I said Obi-Wan was still the same, he was still wilder. How many moves did it take him to get rid of Darth Maul? It didn't take him more than 3.
Yes, it did. It took him
5.
3 and a series.
5. No. What I'm saying is, in Rebels,
Because he was in Clone Wars too.
but still, he was still Obi-Wan. He was
Right.
You got to understand, Clone Wars happened in between Revenge of the Sith and Clone Wars.
Right.
So Obi-Wan was still Obi-Wan. But here's the thing: in Rebels, when he met face to face with Obi-Wan and Maul, Obi-Wan fired his lightsaber up. The fight was over within 5 seconds.
Right. But that was well after what we're watching now, though.
But that's my point. You see how I'm not saying that we don't have this Obi-Wan now. What I'm saying is that's the way they wrote him. I don't have a problem with none of the other materials. My problem is how they wrote him in this series. And if they can write
inconsistent.
Obi-Wan Kenobi like that,
it's
in this,
not inconsistent because we don't know what was going on around this time.
every time we see Obi-Wan, he badass, except for now.
And New Hope.
And that's
To
why
me, he wasn't badass.
And that's what I'm saying. That's where I tried to come to a resolution and say, let me finish.
I ain't saying nothing.
We interpret Obi-Wan differently because in A New Hope, I interpret Obi-Wan as still being the same person. The person that beat Anakin the first time, the person that beat Maul in 4 or 5 moves. The only person that had changed was Anakin Skywalker.
Correction. It was one
He
move.
was now
Skywalker.
he
It
was
was
now
one move.
he was now
Skywalker.
Vader.
He beat Maul in one move.
Okay,
But yeah.
but he was now Vader, and he, like he said, when I left you, I was the learner. Now I'm the master, and it was nothing they can do with him, which put Vader up on the higher pedestal. Not Obi-Wan. It didn't knock Obi-Wan down. Obi-Wan was Obi-Wan. That's how I interpret it. It put Vader up on the pedestal like, damn. Obi-Wan cut his arm and his legs off last time they seen him.
Did y'all see that meme going around saying like, oh, I just realized what Vader meant when he told Luke, Obi-Wan taught you well, because he had the high ground, like when he told him that. Like Luke had jumped on like some rail or some shit, and Vader tell him Obi-Wan taught you well, because he had the high ground.
Well, again, somebody
I thought that was
right.
interesting.
It
It was funny.
out of context, it's funny. But when you actually realize what's going on, that was the carbon container. Vader had turned it on to freeze Luke. Luke jumped up out of there.
Yeah.
And that's when he was like, Obi-Wan taught you well. Vader wasn't trying to slice him or nothing like that. So it was different circumstances. But like I said, maybe we just interpret
Oh, yeah, that's
Obi-Wan
all this
different.
is.
Yeah. We interpret Obi-Wan different
No, I
throughout
just go
the
off
series.
what they give us. I don't.
And you're exactly right. You're exactly right. That's my point. But my point is
That's what most people do.
That's why I get offended, because we're going off what they give us. So at any given time, somebody want to give us some bullshit when it comes to one of our favorite characters. We've had this
going on what they give us.
we've had this conversation before. When they change one of your favorite characters into something that's pretty much unrecognizable, where do you draw the line?
But that's the thing, they haven't changed any of Ryan's favorite characters, so he really don't care.
No, Obi-Wan was one of my favorites.
No.
I told you I'm a prequel nigga. I don't the last trilogy. I don't really care for the last trilogy.
See, I thought Anakin was always your guy in the prequels.
Anakin was my guy, but Obi-Wan was too. You know what I'm saying? I looked at Obi-Wan like he
Right.
looked at Luke.
And that's why I was.
But I'm not. The reason why I'm saying this is because we never got, besides legacy stuff in the books, and I don't even know if it is a book on what happened with Obi-Wan that first 10 years after the clone, or after what's her name.
Right.
But we don't know what Obi-Wan went through because nobody gave us that.
Right.
So right now, like I feel like he going through trauma and he just scared right now.
Right. And I, like I said, I understand how you interpreted it, and I don't have an issue with the way you interpreted it. That's not, I'm not If it sounds like I'm trying to disagree with you,
you not. I disagree with you. That's what it is.
No, it's more so of the
Well, I don't disagree with how you feel about Obi-Wan. I disagree with when you say or when you try to blame directors and people telling their own stories. We never had that story.
But you got to understand, Ron. I've seen it done on multiple properties. We've had
That's
this.
what they doing here.
We've had,
I say that's what they doing here.
We've had this discussion before,
and I've always disagreed with.
Yeah.
If you the reason why I disagree is because if nobody's told this story already, and we're getting a story and it's supposed to be canon, then I'm accepting that as canon. Just like when you said you didn't like the fact that in the comic books when they talked about he made Vader with that suit to the Lord, like, you know what I'm saying, chill out.
Right.
To me, that makes sense for Palpatine because Palpatine know he can't fuck with Vader. And then on top of that, it was never said. The opposite was never said.
Well, but the thing is, I was using that as an example,
right,
of people telling different stories. Then the stories start contradicting. When you allow people liberties to start changing the character to fit their story, nobody's off limit. And even your best character, your most badass character, is not untouchable. They can make that character in that series and that story unrecognizable to the point where the majority of the people will not like the way that character is written.
Because at that point, make your own new show.
Make your
own new character.
I just doubt it happened with Vader.
I mean, I hope you're right.
I know I'm right.
Hope
I know
you're
it ain't gonna happen
I
with
hope
Vader.
you're right.
You better hope they don't announce a Vader show.
If they do a Vader show, they gonna show him worse than what he is on this.
I don't think so.
I do. We seen him. We seen how he did them people in the village.
Right.
I'm
that's a small.
I'm glad you seen.
That's
this.
a small sample, but I've seen my favorite characters
so glad
throughout
you seen
multiple properties get butchered, and this is the
name me a few besides Luke.
Snake Eyes, He-Man, Voltron, Luke. You said not Luke, but
I'm about
Luke,
to say he
Obi-Wan.
come in and bring it up every week.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Luke, Obi-Wan now. Shit. Neo.
Voltron.
Should I keep going?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say this. It's getting to the point of any time they redo something from something older, they do it.
And that's why I said we need to start getting new stories.
Yeah, they just need to start.
We need to get new stories. Like I said, the people give the sequel trilogy a bad rap simply because it's centered around the Skywalkers. Kylo Ren's he is Solo, but he's supposed to be Anakin's grandchild, and you have Luke in there. If that story was a whole different cast of Jedi and a whole different cast of Sith Lords, that's a fire story. But when you write characters, when you write legacy characters into your story and you change them, it turns off the audience, myself included.
I was just about to say that's their problem. They want Skywalker's Vader. That's a recognizable name to the masses.
But
they know that's gonna bring. They know you say Skywalkers or some Vader, $1 billion movie.
Right. But it's been proven that if you got a good story, the reason I say this is because of Rogue One.
Still have Vader in it.
But it didn't need Vader.
Yeah, it did.
No, it didn't.
Yes, it did.
No, it didn't.
All right.
I mean,
in my opinion, it did. That last scene made the whole movie for me.
Oh yeah, no, not to me.
I don't like Star Wars without the Force and Jedi. The rest of that shit is trash.
And that's why they don't do it.
That shit is trash.
That's why they don't do it.
Make a.
It's too many people that believe you can't have a Star Wars. Too many people believe
that's what it was made
that
for.
Star Wars is Jedi, Skywalker's lightsaber.
Not even just you could just do Jedi, Sith, or the Force. Period. That's what the Star Wars is about. The Force. Yeah. Not jets and fucking Star Destroyers and all that. Yeah, that's all in it because that's a part of it. Yeah. But you don't have Star Wars without Jedi.
You don't have Star Wars without what?
Without the Force.
Right. And you got
Star Trek.
You don't have Star Wars without the Star Wars.
What? You mean the Skywalker?
No. Star Wars. Star Wars is a
Star Wars.
It's a battle. It's battles in space
Exactly.
Right.
with
But
elements
with
of
the Jedi.
But it's a whole galaxy out there.
Yeah, and it's a whole lot of force sensitive people.
Yeah,
That's
but
why
they
they
don't.
was
But they
hunting
don't
them
have
down.
to be Jedi.
It's most of they don't have to be Jedi because most of them don't become
No,
Jedi.
What I'm saying, what Ron?
Exactly. They could.
the-
they could make whole
them
stories.
them adding the Jedi in, the Sith in, the Force in is magnificent.
The Star Trek without them.
No, to me, it's not.
Well,
To me,
it is.
See,
because
to
the
me,
characters
all
are
you
different.
need in Star Wars is the Force. That's it.
That's all you need. That's all you.
Crazy.
When you go into a writing room, we making a Star Wars movie. All right, throw the Force up on the wall. All that Vader, Luke, Obi-Wan, get all that shit out of here. The lightsabers, all the might use a couple lightsabers. Hey, get that shit out of here.
Star Trek then.
What story can we tell? Because I'm sure the Jedi's didn't come. I mean, Jedi's and lightsabers and all that shit didn't just pop up one day. They wasn't always there.
Man, maybe
I'm sure it was Jedi's back in the old times.
It was. A whole
So
lot of them.
what did they use? Did they use lightsabers too?
Yes. Yes.
So every single.
Kyber crystals wasn't created. The Kyber crystals are a part of the universe.
But what I'm saying though, so ever since the very first Jedi or the very first Force sensitive person had a lightsaber.
no,
I don't know that.
they did.
They never even told us that story.
Exactly.
Who?
That's my point. Tell us that.
When they tell us that?
They got stories on when the first lightsaber was created.
Yeah, they do, but that wasn't the first force sensitive person.
Exactly. I'm sure it was somebody Force sensitive before then.
But they never told us who the first force sensitive.
Tell us.
But
Tell
no,
us.
they already told us. The force resides in everybody.
What I'm talking about in movie form or show form. Like, tell us that story. You don't have. My point is, you don't.
That person
have
is
to,
gonna have a lightsaber. I guarantee it.
But that's because they feel like
you're
the
right.
audiences and the masses not going to accept Star Wars.
No, that's not because that's what the story is.
No, Ron, I'm telling you.
You telling me your opinion. And
No,
I'm telling you mine.
I'm telling you fact.
That's not a fact.
Okay.
Who said that then?
Nigga, Disney and Star Wars.
Nigga, Disney?
That's why I was
Okay.
going to ask y'all.
Listen to Disney.
This review coming up, this review going a little long, but I was going to ask y'all, have y'all liked Star Wars since Disney took over?
Yeah. I have.
No,
Because they took over
We wouldn't
after
have-
the prequels, right?
We wouldn't have got no more Star Wars without this.
they took over after the Clone Wars, after the first couple seasons of Clone Wars.
We
When
wouldn't
the
have got no
animation
more.
changed.
Yeah,
But but you just saying it because it's better than nothing.
No, I'm not. I'm saying we wouldn't have got no more Star Wars without Disney.
Yeah,
There
but
wouldn't have been
that's
nobody else
but-
doing Star Wars.
you're right.
So then you saying that we wouldn't have got none because nothing is better than. I mean, something is better than nothing.
No, I'm not saying it because something is better than nothing. I'm saying the Disney stuff. This stuff is not as bad to me that y'all saying.
I
And
mean,
y'all, we got different reasons.
I'm not saying I've liked some. I've liked some of the things.
No,
that
but
Disney has done.
but overall, y'all don't like what Disney's doing with Star Wars. Obviously, it's y'all said it basically.
no, I mean you're right. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't.
Me
Because
personally, I think they doing just what the books.
because pre Disney, I liked everything that came with Star Wars. The original trilogy, the prequel trilogy, and
That was it.
and the Clone Wars animated, the actual cartoon and the CGI animated, the actual Clone Wars. But after Disney took over, the only thing that I really, really enjoyed was Rogue One. And that's the one movie that really did
You
not.
ain't like Rogue One. You ain't like the Bad Batch.
No, I'm saying I did like Rogue One.
I'm
Rogue
saying,
One.
but you ain't like the Bad Batch.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's not it, but I didn't like. Hold on,
I ain't saying shit.
I like the Bad Batch a couple episodes,
Man, stop it.
but as a series, I don't like the way where the story went. The story was good, but when they start introducing the little girl in there, and again, she started being a sidekick character. It took all the elements of the Bad Batch that we got from Clone Wars out of
It's
it.
all Disney.
We had them one episode, bro.
And they
Before this.
right, and you're
Ever
right.
since
mean,
baby,
before
ever
that.
since
You
Baby Yoda. When was the last time Star Wars didn't have a little small sidekick?
I mean, the smallest
It's
sidekick
always
we
been
had.
a small sidekick.
The smallest sidekicks we had was R2 and the Ewoks. Everything else was more, but they wasn't centered. They weren't the center of attention.
My whole thing.
The only thing I've seen so far where a sidekick was centered is this Obi-Wan show.
I mean, I give you that. Well,
BB-8 wasn't centered. That was a
But-
merchandising thing. They
The
were trying to
thing
sell
is,
merchandise.
Exactly. That's what they
What-
always.
what I'm
trying to-
saying
That's,
is,
what,
I don't-
that's what Disney always trying.
I don't
to
have
do.
a problem with the little characters. I have a problem when they are centered.
Right.
Like I get what you're saying, but you
I
asked.
was just naming other.
Right.
Just naming.
You asked.
There's only
he
one that was
asked
centered
since
to me.
Disney took over. There's only a few properties. There's more that about Star Wars that I dislike than I like. I'm gonna say that I don't hate it, but there's more that I dislike than I like.
See, I like everything. I like the expanded universe, the legacy. I liked all that shit. I used to read
See,
the
but
books.
to me, they really haven't expanded the universe.
The shit that they showing us is expanded legacy stuff.
No,
Stuff they've
it's,
wrote in books
it's
on.
expanding people's legacy.
No,
but it's not expanding
This
the
stuff
universe.
was already like done. Like they talked about most of this shit. That whole
But that's what I'm saying. Go do some shit that
Ron,
haven't already been done.
let me ask you this, Ron.
That's not written out there.
Hold on.
Or do some shit that is written that's obscure.
Let me-
that don't have shit to do
They
with
did,
the
and y'all didn't
Skywalkers.
like it.
What was that?
What?
the damn the animation that came off with the
I liked
animes.
it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, I liked it. I didn't like every episode, but I liked it.
Yeah, y'all ain't like that shit.
I mean, isn't
they
that-
tried?
And I mean, I'm
I
not
liked it.
saying that this. I mean, just them doing it is gonna cure everything. I mean, yeah,
I'm
of
just
course
saying they tried
of
and y'all
course-
didn't like that shit.
Here's my biggest gripe with Star
And
Wars.
some of that shit was fire.
And it's a question to both of y'all. Let's just stick to the movies for right now. Out of the 9 movies we got, right, from how it started at Phantom Menace to how it ended in The Rise of Skywalker, right?
Yeah,
What we need the Skywalkers for?
you don't.
We had 6 movies that was centered around the Skywalkers that was telling the story basically that
6.
no, I'm saying before we get to the prequel, I mean the sequel trilogy.
I about to
Once
say,
we
what?
get to the sequel trilogy, how they ended, why did Palpatine even need Anakin or anybody else? He can resurrect himself from the dead. He was the
You
strongest.
want me to answer that?
I mean, I'm just saying, why did we need it? Because
'Cause
that
they need. Oh, go
that
ahead.
trilogy changed the narrative of Anakin being the chosen one and Luke and Leia being his kids and they solving everything, bringing balance to the Force. No,
But they don't care about none of that.
Palpatine brought balance to the Force.
Yeah, but they don't care about none of that. No.
How did Palpatine bring balance to the Force?
At the end of the day, who destroyed Palpatine for good? Rey, his granddaughter. His granddaughter was the last one left. At the
She's
end,
not a Skywalker though.
exactly. So why did we need
But
the
I'm
Skywalkers?
sure they gonna tell you.
Why did they tell that story
I'm
of
sure they
Anakin being
gonna
a
tell
chosen
you
one?
Leia is the one that trained Rey, so technically it was the Skywalkers
Thank you.
that balanced it.
Thank you.
Exactly, some bullshit.
That's not no bullshit. That's
Yeah, it
y'all
is.
just don't like it.
That's some bullshit.
That's not bullshit.
That's some straight bullshit.
It's not, bro.
Palpatine brought balance to the Force. At the end of the day, it was a Palpatine.
At the end of the day, it was a dark side character that brought balance.
But my point is,
Because it was never balanced
And-
because of that.
But here's my thing. So why give us 6 movies about Anakin and Luke, about the Skywalkers, and then you end it off with a Palpatine bringing balance to the Force?
Because you looking
I'm
at
about
it as
to say, you
Palpatine
want-
bringing
if
the
you-
Force.
you
I don't
want
think
me to tell
Palpatine
you?
brought balance to the Force.
How, that's what the story
No,
told.
Palpatine brought balance to their pockets.
Palpatine didn't bring balance to the Force to me.
They
But that's-
needed this
And it wasn't
nigga
said that
because they
either.
needed somebody from the old movies
Because
to pop in.
technically, the Force still not balanced.
What
It ain't no dark side, ain't no Sith.
You looking too far into it.
No, I'm not.
What
I'm telling you what I'm going off what they said, what they gave us.
Okay, so with that being said, why tell us the story of Anakin and Luke?
Because those are episode 4, 5, and 6.
No, I know those episodes.
Shit develops and shit changes. Y'all don't accept the change.
Actually, it's episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Here's the thing.
No, I'm talking about with 4, 5, and 6. I'm not
Right.
talking about it wasn't no.
Here's the thing. If that's the case, let's go back to what I said. So it's okay to change the story to fit your narrative.
Yeah. They don't care about. That's why.
That's all I'm saying.
Like I said before, I read the book, so I know what happened.
The books aren't canon anymore.
They are now. Well, that book. Well, no, they changed the book. That was the expanded universe.
Ron, What I'm saying is, we got 9 Star Wars movies.
And the Force still not balanced.
That's not my point. My point is we've been told this story about Anakin. Then we know Anakin go on to have kids that destroy him and supposedly destroy Palpatine. And yet, at the end of the day, you bring back up Palpatine, who grandchild is the one that brings balance to the Force.
Answer me this question.
So hold on. So why did we go through all these hurdles about Anakin being the chosen one? He immaculate inception and everything, but yet
But who said that? Who said that?
His mama.
Who?
His mama said it. He didn't have a father.
So the Jedi weren't the ones who said he was the chosen one.
The prophecy said he was the chosen one.
From the Jedi's prophecy, right?
Well, that's why Palpatine wanted him.
Hold on, okay. But they've been wrong from the jump, right?
Here's the thing.
They've said they've been wrong from the jump, right? So how their prophecy not being wrong makes sense to you?
So then everybody wrong. So the Jedi prophecy and the dark side prophecy.
It wasn't no dark side prophecy.
Here's the thing.
Here's the thing. I don't know from the book.
Here's the
No,
thing.
I'm saying in the movies it wasn't no prophecy.
Here's the thing. And with that being said, why even add that into the movie? Why even add that into the story? If it's all a lie, why even add that in there?
Well, I mean, because it's two different people that's creating the whole story arc.
And I stand on, as far as the last 3, if there wasn't conflicting directors or what people writing the movie, it wouldn't have been like that.
And
So
we
that was
already,
you know what I'm saying?
It wasn't conflicting what?
It was it was whoever made episode 7, and then the nigga
Abrams
came in for episode 8 to spite everything he did in 7, change shit. And then 7 he came
but
back
that
to
wasn't
spite him.
Hold on.
That's what that was.
My bad, Will. Hold on.
That's why that was fucked
It
up.
still would have been like that because
I tell you the real-
I don't know that.
I'll tell you the real reason it was fucked up.
I'm gonna tell you why we know that, because you had Luke Skywalker in this movie. You had a character from the original trilogy,
Right.
who was a bloodline of a Skywalker. We ain't even talking about Kylo yet.
But we know the only reason they put him in there, though.
And I know that.
Yeah.
But my point is I'm still trying to get him to understand that stories don't even matter no more.
Yeah,
Stories do not
don't
matter
no more.
anymore when they trying to put money in their pocketbooks. They can change the story to whatever they wanted to fit their narrative.
But I was gonna say that
I know everything you saying, but stories don't matter no more.
Yeah.
So
we don't agree. You don't
okay.
But what I was gonna say, the real fucked up part about it was when Disney bought the shit from George. Kathleen Kennedy threw out all of the notes that George gave her to continue the series. That's where they fucked up at, because then they literally start making their own stories.
And that's why it was an issue.
Well, not all of them.
When Dave Filoni.
No, all of them.
Not all of them. They took some of the stuff because, like I said, Kylo was in some of the original stories after the Return of the Jedi.
It wasn't Kylo.
It was Kylo. He just had a different name. His name
That's
was
what I'm
Ben.
saying. It wasn't Kylo. It was somebody else.
All right, man.
It was actually twins.
Yeah, and Kylo was always and Ben Kenobi was the dark side. His sister was the one who was supposed to beat him, and then and Luke had a son.
His name wasn't Ben.
His name was Ben Solo, whatever.
It wasn't Ben Solo.
Yes, it was. I read the book. I did a book report on it. It was Ben Solo or Ben something.
All right.
What was it then?
It wasn't Ben.
What was it?
Ben was the first time we heard that man get called Ben was in this movie. What the fuck
Man,
was
no,
his
it
name?
wasn't, man.
We can Google it right
I read
now.
the book.
I don't know.
It was something Solo.
Like I said,
Yeah, it was
never
some
read
solo.
Solo.
It was some Solo. I'm not knocking that. It definitely was some Solo.
I'm nowhere near as deep in the Star Wars.
But
as
but
these
my
two guys
but my
are,
point
so I don't know.
is that's why she threw such a fit when Dave Filoni had Luke in there doing what he was doing. You got these characters in there. Vader the only one they ain't shitted on. And if
I told you they're not going to.
if you feel like he ain't coming up next,
He
I
not.
don't know what to tell you.
He not.
All right.
A Vader show is for sure getting announced.
Yeah.
I don't know that.
And Vader
After they done brought back Christian Hayden,
Christian
Hayden Christian. After they done brought him back and the reception, Vader is easily probably gonna be the biggest reception of the show.
Mm-hmm.
As he should.
They're going to make a Vader show.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see.
They're going to make a Vader show.
And
We'll see.
when they make a Vader show,
Because he was
they
like
not
I said,
gonna make Vader.
To me, he was the biggest in Rogue One.
They
And
not
they didn't
gonna.
do it either.
They not gonna make the. And you're right, but they not gonna make Vader the badass character we've seen thus far.
We'll see.
I don't even know how to Google the shit that y'all talking about. Outside the sequel trilogy films, we've seen glimpses of a young Ben Solo throughout the post Return of Jedi's timeline.
Hold on.
Thanks to the expanded universe from his
Not early
youngest years
Empire.
to his final stand against Darth Sidious alongside Rey. Oh, okay. These got the different books that he was in. Aftermath, Empire's End.
Jason
Last
and
Shot,
Janet.
whatever that is. Bloodline.
His name was Jason Solo. That boy name was not Ben.
Like I said, I wouldn't know. Jason Solo.
I don't have a problem with his name being Ben. I'm just saying his name wasn't Ben. My issue is it's been my issue, and I've been trying to say for the longest.
But they called him. I thought they named him Ben because of Obi-Wan.
Then in the movies they named him Ben. In the books his name
Yeah,
was
well, I'm talking
something
about-
Yeah,
I'm
they
talking
changed
about-
it for the movies.
right.
Like I
His
said.
name was
yeah.
something else in the books. We was talking about the books.
Yeah.
Which-
No, I was just saying they called him
Either
Ben
way,
'cause of Obi-Wan.
that wasn't my point. My point is when they feel like they want to write a character different than what he been portrayed throughout the lore
don't
of the
give a
story,
damn.
it's gonna be different, and there ain't nothing we can do about it.
But my whole thing is, why don't they use that logic to make some new shit?
And I just told you, when they did it, y'all didn't like it.
Yes, we did. That you talking about that anthology, right?
It was a different story.
It
had
was-
nothing to do
and
with
And I
it-
don't think, and I
it
don't
got
think
a
the
really-
masses didn't like it, did they?
Yes, the
talking-
masses loved it.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
They
yeah.
loved it.
I ain't hear nothing about it.
The masses
And he
loved
said
it.
that he liked a couple episodes.
Yeah.
I'm the only one that said that. Yeah, I wasn't fucking with it.
It was a
But-
few episodes, of course, I didn't care for, but like I said, as a whole, I liked it. I don't have an issue with the new stuff, with new characters. My issue is butchering the old characters. That's my only issue. Like, everything would be okay if they just stop using old characters, and not just in Star Wars, and all these intellectual properties. Stop using old characters and writing them how you want them to be. Because it takes away the luster of that character. Everything this character has developed to be over the years that you've become a fan of can be wiped away in 6 episodes.
Yep. And on that note, grades.
This episode, I'm going to give it an A, actually.
Me too.
Get his mug a B. Guess we'll be right back next week for the finale.
Yep.
I was gonna ask that question in this episode. Then I saw we was going so long, so I was gonna save
you
it for
still
the
can.
finale.
Might as well. Shit.
Well, I mean, y'all answered the question now
Oh,
about if y'all like Star Wars
Oh,
and
okay,
Disney
yeah.
bought it. But like I said, 2 A's, B for this episode. Pretty good. One of the highlight episodes of the season, I would say. Oh, I thought you were about to say something.
no.
Well, that's been Views of a Flick for Obi-Wan episode 5. I'm Will.I.Am Defoe, a.k.a. Big Willie Style. That's Said the Entertainer.
What's happening?
That's Ron Jarobi. You already know me. I holler at you.